did we just beat the 2021 MLS Cup winners and the 2022 Copernicus Cup winners last night? Yes. Did we go from 0-0 in an absolute standoff of defensive capabilities to getting 2 goals in? Yes. Did Fernandez say, we're not losing to a blowout, man? I got to at least get 1 in, and eventually change the score from 2-1 also, yes. But we just beat New York last night, and baby, we got to get into it. So here we go. So amidst of me watching WrestleMania last night, I have to say I watched most of the soccer game. If that tells you how good WrestleMania was, I was watching my boys play more than WrestleMania. But this ain't about WrestleMania, it's about the good footy. So let's get into it. My man Gorno, my man Vargas, the strikers of the team, baby, said we are not going to keep this at 0-0. We need to make some major moves and adjustments. And by God, did they not ever make the major adjustments. They made the adjustments. They made the scores that they needed to make. And we beat New York. Now, from what I saw, literally all to the last, I'm going to say maybe 50 to 30 minutes of the game, it was 0-0. Defensive. Nobody was getting in nowhere. The defense was tough on our side, and the defense was tough on their side. It was nothing was going on. It looked like it was just going to be like a draw between New York and Charlotte. But I digress, man. It was a defensive battle for the most part of that game. The most part of that game. Like, dude. But my man Gorno, he said, not today, man. Not today. Gorno got the first point in. 1-0. We play a little bit longer. Then I'm going to say maybe 10 to 15, 20 minutes later, Vargas said, no, I'm going to get me some of that too. 2-0. 2-0. Was literally like the remaining factor up until Fernandez from New York, shout out to Fernandez, got his lick back and got a goal in on us. But it was not enough as defense kept it locked down and tight. And we got the win over the 2021 MLS Cup winner, 2022 Copernicus Cup winners, New York. I told y'all so. Charlotte this year is locked they're locked in. They're locked the F in. I'm not going to cuss on the Lord's Day, but hopefully I didn't already. If I did, I apologize. But we're locked in, baby. We're locked in. And you could tell defense was slack. Well, not slacking. They were a little bit, they were gassed out a little bit right at the end. That's why that goal happened. It wasn't a penalty. It was just a little bit of a, we're tired out here. You know, it was a little gassed out, which is okay. Because for the longest time, like I said, it was 0-0. It was a more defensive battle than anything. Like, nobody could do absolute dog crap out there. It was wild. It was crazy. But that's the way we need to attack the first away game. After coming off a 5 home game stretch, ultimately losing the last one, but it was still a good game. We come out of Charlotte, out into the wide world, to New York City, and we play like we are championship ready. And that's the type of stride we need to keep going and focused on throughout the remainder of the season. And whatever formula they are using right now is absolutely working. They are literally a team. Now, back when the preseason started, They wasn't really a team. They were just a bunch of random people thrown together. By the time we got to the 5 home game stretch, we started building and kept building. Team building skills. Until we became a unit. Because I know y'all remember that 6-1. Y'all remember that 6-1 game they had at the home game. Now you tell me this, bro. You tell me this. If that's not the peak of what the team could do, then I don't know what the peak is. They have not broken through the glass ceiling yet. They're not even at the top, but they're getting there. They're getting there slowly but surely. They're climbing to the top of breaking that glass ceiling and being the absolute beast and monsters they can be. And this was the first step right here, was beating New York. Beating an absolute tough team. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh, that's just New York. There's other tougher teams out there. Yeah. But my team was built off of just people who didn't know each other's playing styles, who didn't know, what the other was bringing. And it caused a lot of confusion and kind of frustration. It takes time to build a well-oiled machine. You can't just build it and pray that it works. You can't go off of prayer. You got to take time to build it. You're going to have a little bit of mistakes. You're going to have a little bit of alterations. You're going to have a little bit of faults, cracks in the shield. But baby, I'm telling you now, stick with Charlotte. You're going to see a whole lot of things coming from this team that you didn't expect. And baby, like I said, step 1 happened last night, beating New York. And as we continue to move forward into next week's game, which I won't be distracted, you'll actually get another 2-part review, the pre and the post review. This one's going to be a full review. Now, as far as I see, no injuries last night, no red cards at all. A lot of yellow. I'm not going to say a lot of yellow. I'm saying probably a good amount of yellow. A good amount of yellow cards. Nobody got hurt, which is good. Don't want to see nobody get hurt on either sides of the spectrum. We don't want to see any, red cards or ejections or anything like that. So far, from what I'm seeing and what I know, that based off this win, there's a lot of rumblings and a lot of speculation. I could be wrong, that we could end up, we could end up going somewhere with this, with the supporter shield. I don't know. I don't know how this works quite yet. I'm getting there, but I'm not there quite yet. I'm growing as my team's growing, if that makes sense. Of course, before and after the game was different. Before the game, you heard from De La Torre and you heard from another player from Charlotte. I forgot his name, and I gave you a full roster breakdown a couple episodes back. But you heard from De La Torre. You heard from the head coach. You definitely heard from Zaha, who I am considering he's the locker room leader. And then after the game, you heard from Gorno, you heard from the head coach, you heard from Vargas, you definitely heard from the head coach in New York. He was actually surprised and giving us praise of how good we have gotten and progressed. Shout out to the head coach of New York FC. Thank you, bro. You heard from Fernandez. New York definitely did not. It was like our last game. Like, it didn't hurt New York at all. Like, the last game didn't hurt us. This game didn't hurt New York. It just showed New York like that we were ready, that we were actually ready this year, and they underestimated us, which is that. I could see why. But, I kind of feel like my team's like the underdog team anyway. But I really have a strong feeling that this year we're going to actually win the cup. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. But who knows as we go forward. I can't see into the future. None of these players can either. Neither the head coach. But we got a good formula working, and we need to stick to that formula. Maybe make some alter adjustments a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Just a little bit more offense, a little splash of defense. Maybe a little bit of the switching up of plays and switching up a little bit of this and that. But we got a good working formula. And you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going into next Saturday's game, and I'm going to have to do better on the scheduling because I have no idea who we're playing next Saturday because, you know, it's been a wild weekend, but now I can focus more on the pre and post reviews for next Saturday as I look forward to seeing who we face next weekend. I'm not sure. I think it's Toronto. I don't know if it's Toronto or not. I'm going to have to look. I may be wrong. It's probably... I thought it was Toronto. It's probably not. But I'll get in that and fix that and make some edits to this as well. But I got to say, like... For the most part, like, defense did what it's supposed to do on both sides. Because, you know, like, for the longest part of the game, man, like, it was literally a defensive battle. Like, nobody was getting shit. There was more possessions in that game than damn drug lord. And I know that sounds bad, but yeah. Like, there were more turnovers than apple and cherry and peach, whatever your flavor is. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. It was a defensive battle for most of that game, which I was like, damn, bro, like, this is interesting. Usually by this time last year, New York would have smoked us already with 2 goals, but we were holding our own in there. But like I said, right at the end, we got a little gassed out, which is okay. I mean, when you play hard, you exhaust yourself and you get a little gassed out, and then, you know, we'll get better at that. Most definitely. But, you know, for this game, I had to say, like, it definitely puts us on notice. It definitely lets people know that Charlotte is coming to play, and it definitely lets us know one thing is for certain and 2 things is for sure. We're coming for the MLS Cup. And we're definitely a new team this year. But guys, that was my full review of Charlotte FC. I'm pretty sure I will get the right team who we're facing next Saturday because I'm saying Toronto and I know it's not Toronto, so I have to go back and make edits. But you know what it is. It's Cypher on the Max Footy Pod, but also catch us at Max Wrestling Podcast. You know where it's at. It's a Thursday thing. Max Wrestling Podcast, you know, youtube.com/Max Wrestling Podcast, as well as the beautifully done website of maxwrestlingnet.weebly.com. Also, check out the latest S&M podcast as I done night 1 with Larkin, Daniel Crimmins, and Paul Morales last night. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But it was fun staying up and talking about that disgusting... Listen, when I tell you I watched most of the soccer game, I watched the soccer game. If that tells you how night 1 went. But like I said, it's not about a grapple here. It's about the goals. And Max Footy is where you need to be. So I'm handing this over, and I'll see you next Saturday for the post and pre-review of the next game coming up. Stay blessed, stay healthy. This your boy Cypher, and I'm out.